didn't think
She's
about
like,
it.
here, just keep. Because you've been through every department here.
Yeah, I'm making my way.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You had a rough time. Now, you have not had surgery for your cervical cancer, right? That's in the plan, though, in the future?
They told me they couldn't do it.
Okay. And they just said, chemo, are you getting radiation for that too?
I had the radiation last year.
Okay, so that's over.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, as you can probably tell, I read everything in your chart already, so I'm not going to re-ask you all those questions. No plans for surgery. And they had commented on, part of the reason they found this in your breast was because they did the PET scan.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it sounded like they weren't too worried about it, but then what made them kind of prompt to, they change their mind, or?
No, my primary care doctor is one that ordered the mammogram.
Okay. And he was like,
Dr.
yeah, we
Kagan
should.
hadn't done it.
Got it. And then he also ordered the colonoscopy, which was.
She did, my primary did too.
Great, and that was okay, so we ruled that out. Oh, you didn't hear that yet?
Well, he told me he didn't think everything looked good, but I hadn't known for sure.
Gotcha. I think he took one polyp, and let me just.
Okay, see, I didn't even know he took
Let
that.
me just double check all those details. You had never noticed a lump then, or a mass? Okay. Oh, you just had this like a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 6 millimeter polyp, and polyps are found all the time. Let's just double check. The pathology on that polyp has not come back, but it is probably unlikely to be anything. It's very small, so.
That's good.
And he said otherwise it looked okay. So we'll just wait until hear on that pathology for sure. And so then they told you about what they found in the pathology on the breast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the most common type of breast cancer. It doesn't appear to have any relationship to your cervical cancer. Just so you know, those are not.
That's what I wanted to know if it was related to it or not.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's ductal carcinoma, invasive
You gotta
ductal,
remember that.
which is your most common type of breast cancer.
Okay.
And it is in just the one area. There's no evidence that your mammogram and everything and your ultrasound doesn't show more than one lesion. It's just one lesion. And let's get some more details on you because I need to find.
Do you know what stage it was in?
So the stage is something that we can't do until after it's out and after we've evaluated your lymph nodes. And you haven't noticed any lumps or bumps in your armpit or anything?
I can't tell.
Okay.
But I know they checked it under the arms too when I did the mammogram.
Yeah. So fully checking under the arms is something we have to do in the operating room. Okay. So the first question is, what are we going to do specifically about this tumor, as in different surgical options, and we're going to talk about all those. And the second question is, we have to look at the lymph nodes to determine what stage it is. So the decision of the breast surgery kind of depends on all your risk factors, the other things you're going through, how big your breasts are, because depending on the size of the tumor, how much breast we'd have to take. And so we have to make a decision of basically total mastectomy. The other option out there is prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. If you wanted to go, it depends on your risk factors and things like that, but I don't think we necessarily need to talk about that. But basically it's removing the whole breast versus just removing the mass. And sometimes when you don't have very big breasts, if you were just remove the mass, it disfigures it so much, depending because of the size of the mass, that you might be better off just taking off the whole breast. The other part of it is, if we just remove the mass and we don't remove the whole breast, you have to get radiation. Those go together. Removing just a lump, or a lumpectomy is what it's called, goes with radiation. Removing the whole breast, you don't need to get radiation.
Okay, would it be just chemo?
So the chemo decision is a whole separate issue. Okay. So the first, it's like different branches of the tree. So the first decision is the lumpectomy with radiation or the mastectomy. The next stage discussion is the lymph nodes and the lymph node status. So because of the type of cancer it is, and basically it is actual cancer, we need to sample your lymph nodes. We do that in the operating room at the same time as we do the breast surgery. We inject the mass, we see which lymph node it goes to, and we do a lymph node biopsy. If the lymph node in the operating room looks like it's, if the lymph node is positive, we need to take all the lymph nodes. We either can do that the same day or as a separate surgery. We'll have to talk to, I don't
So
know.
you would know the results of biopsy on the lymph nodes right there?
Right then, not exactly.
Okay.
But you would
We
know
get a
that,
preliminary answer, and it's
Okay.
it's not exact, but we get an idea. And so then if the lymph nodes are involved or not, that determines the stage, and then that helps. That's one of the factors to decide whether you need chemotherapy.
Okay.
Chemotherapy is complex with you because you're already on the chemotherapy for the other cancer, so chemotherapy might be something that's in the picture anyways,
Okay.
and maybe an adjustment of the chemotherapy or adding another agent into chemotherapy. That's all kind of going to be up
So
to
it would be a
hematology and
different,
oncology.
actually a different kind of chemo drug?
Probably.
Okay.
I that's not my area of expertise, so that's something that the oncologist will decide.
Oh, okay then.
So where did I get laid off? So that's the first thing. We got to decide what surgery to do, when to do it, whether you even want surgery. That's out there too, because it's always your choice. But it sounds like that's the thing to do. And then go from there. Does that make sense so far? It's a lot of information. That's why this training is so long to learn how to do all these things. So. Okay. Let's see. Other questions. Has this got your complete list of medication on it?
No, I didn't see
You have
the
a list
medication
somewhere?
on it.
No. Is that the list?
no, this is
Okay.
questions.
Questions. Okay. Let me get some. What medications are you on?
I do the Vicodin
Okay.
and,
Do you have back pain, or what's the?
yeah, well, the cancer's in my back.
Okay.
too.
Did they tell you for sure the cancer's in your back? Because I heard
It's in
different.
the L4,
Okay.
from what I understand, yeah.
Did they biopsy that? No. Okay. They're assuming that it is though.
Yeah.
Because I saw different things on there that it lit up on your PET scan, but it was questionable whether that was definitely cancer or maybe they're
Oh.
just probably assuming it is cancer based on the findings.
All Dr. Kidney said it's in the
It's in the back.
L4.
Okay. All right. So that sounds good. Well, I understand. Okay. So Vicodin. What other medication?
And the other two, I can't remember the names. One's nausea medicine and the other one's for GERD.
Phenergan. Zofran.
I can't remember. I
And
know
you
it's
take
your Brontos.
cimetidine. Is that for your GERD?
Yeah.
Zantac.
No, it's not St.
No.
Jack.
Cimetidine. And you take that twice a day? Okay. I do not see that other medicine. Neither one of those sound familiar? Reglan? Compazine?
Compazine, maybe.
Okay. Are you allergic to anything?
No.
What surgeries have you had in the past?
My tube's tied,
Uh-huh.
and that's almost right.
That's it. Okay. Any C-sections, gallbladder, appendix? No. Never had any breast biopsies or breast surgeries in the past? And did I read you were adopted? No, okay, I read somebody else. So in your family history, anybody with cancer?
No,
Nobody with cancer?
not that I had an aunt that had cervical cancer too, but other than that, it's the only cancer we ever heard of.
Okay.
Told me, I have to start everything.
You're special.
I know.
There's a lot of medicine here. Not a lot of them have a lot of details. Chemo maintenance notes. Do you take that nausea medicine every day?
Yes.
Okay. But otherwise, you doing pretty good with the chemo? Or?
Yeah, the only thing that it bothers my right leg, but it's the only thing that, and the nausea.
Mm-hmm. You have some neuropathy in your leg, was that what it was? What bothers your leg?
He told me it was for the side effects of chemo, and just that pain, like if I'm up on it, it's like a dull, achy pain,
Okay.
and then at night when I lay down, that's when the real pain starts. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
You'd think it would calm down, but it's...
Do you smoke? How much do you smoke?
About a pack and a half. Yes, I know, Jack.
I didn't say
Any
what.
alcohol?
No.
Yeah, every hour.
What do you think I put in my coffee? No.
Thank you.
Why not? Sure. Otherwise, you don't really have any other medical problems, though, right?
No, not that I know of
Other
yet.
than persistent meanness.
Yeah.
No high blood pressure. Did you just get into our system recently, like in March? No, this is March of
Last year.
2011. Where were you seen before then?
Actually, I came out of that office.
Okay. And your primary care doctor found out about it?
Well, no, actually, I just ended up in the emergency room and
For
they sent
bleeding?
me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I understand. Okay, you wanna ask me some questions? Some of them we might defer till she gets here, but,
And that's fine. And some of them you've already answered.
okay.
If she were to have a total mastectomy,
Uh-huh.
what is the recovery time and what is the quality versus,
Lumpectomy,
yeah,
partial. So it's partial mastectomy versus total, like you said. There's different partial mastectomy,
Right.
same as lumpectomy. Recovery time from both of them, I would say maybe you're a little more sore from the mastectomy than the lumpectomy, but in general, you're still sore from an incision. It doesn't go deeper than the breast tissue itself. We don't take any muscle. We don't take anything below that. And you will have a drain in place if you have the mastectomy. If you just have the lumpectomy, we usually don't put a drain in. The drains usually go home with, and that's just because your body will create fluid and it will accumulate in that space, and you want that to drain out instead of accumulating because it can be bothersome and can cause infections and stuff. Drains usually you hang on to them for about a week, depending on how much fluid is produced. The mastectomy, if you just do have a unilateral mastectomy, people do it different. I have to check with her. I don't know what her particular policies are, but sometimes you can go home same day from surgery. Sometimes you'll stay overnight one night. Usually it's just one night, even if you had a bilateral mastectomy. Like I said, you'll be sore. You're going to have somewhat limited arm movement just because we want you to still move your arms, but you'll be sore. Other than that, you'll be up walking around. You'll go home on pain medicine. And the wounds, as long as everything goes straight forward and there's no, problems or complications, will take a couple weeks to heal. You'll feel like yourself and normal again probably in 3 or 4 weeks. Hopefully.
and will there be complications from healing because of the chemo
There is,
and what she's on?
sure, there is a possibility, absolutely, because chemo is an immune modulator, basically. It decreases your immune system. I don't particularly expect any direct, definitely this is going to be a problem kind of thing. But yeah, there's a chance that the wounds might take a little bit longer to heal, and you might have more wound problems, complications, things like that. Can't say what chance that is
Right.
or anything, because everybody behaves or responds is a little bit different.
Well, what's the chance of it going into the other breast?
So the risk of getting cancer in the other breast is not necessarily associated with this breast. As long as you're not someone who has a specific gene mutation, it's an independent risk. So it's not, you are like somebody who has had a bunch of family history of breast cancer is at higher risk of breast cancer. Because you have a personal history of breast cancer, obviously, you're at higher risk of getting breast cancer in the other breast than somebody on the street. But at the same time, it does not necessarily mean that you're going to get cancer on the other side. Does that make sense? If that answers.
And how large is the mass?
It's 1.2 centimeters, I believe. Let me just
Okay.
exact. Yeah, 1.2 centimeters.
And if she were to opt for having them both removed, they would do that. Just because of all the other issues at hand.
Sure. You mean, like, was that an option?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I gotta check with
Right.
her just to make sure, but I don't see why not.